Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I happen to have a yoga mat, but if you are without one today, just find a place in your house that's carpeted or a sturdy rug, not one that's going to slip around with you, but something softer than a hardwood floor or something that's got tile. I also have a folded blanket. This is truly the throw blanket from my couch, so the same could be true for you. A beach towel, a folded bath towel is great. And 2 yoga blocks can be substituted with 2 thick books. We will start standing in our foundational pose, our mountain pose, with our feet hip distance and parallel. And then instead of just flipping your wrists out, let's do this. Really swoop your whole arm and turn your palms to face out. And notice how that's just a natural uplift of your heart. Feel like there's a string in the crown of your head, and we're rooted in the ground with our head in the heavens, you might say. We'll gaze straight out in front of us at what I like to call our bright horizon. And today we want a sunny outlook because we're going to do a lot of sun salutations. I'm going to teach you a little about the sun salutations in a vinyasa flow yoga kind of class. Okay? So we'll learn a little bit today. But let's first stop so that we can start. You might drift your gaze down or close your eyes to turn the arrows of attention inward. And let yourself become very aware of your breath. If you can manage both your inhale and your exhale through your nose, that's ideal. But it's completely fine to breathe through your mouth if you need to. Sun salutations are built on what's called a vinyasa. Don't worry, there's not a quiz, but vinyasa means some of the movements that we'll do together today, but it also means breath guiding movement. Let's do that. Inhale, arms go out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then exhale, just float your arms along your sides, palms face out. That is vinyasa, one definition of vinyasa. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, arms float along your sides, palms face out. We'll add. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Hinge at your hips. So this is not a round, this is a hinge at your hips, and hands to your thighs. Lift your heart, inhale, traction your hands on your thighs so that long spine feels pretty clear in your body. Then exhale, fold it back in, but keep the length. We'll just inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, V, and pause with our palms facing out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Or maybe you slide them down towards your shins or ankles, but we're not doing it at the cost of our long spine. So this is not a round and struggle. This is a spacious and effortless. And then inhale, lift your heart, slide your hands up. Exhale, slide your hands back down, but keep the length. And then rise, reach. Inhale, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. And we pause with our palms facing out. We'll keep building this sun salutation. A is what we're up to. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. You're facing the short edge of your mat or your imaginary mat. Bend your knees deeply. Palms go flat first. Then with our palms flat, pushing the ground away, we walk our feet back as if there's a hook in our tailbones. It's our first down dog, so let's do this intelligently. We're not bending your elbows. We're not collapsed shoulders into ears. Push the ground away. Feel that there's a hook in your tailbone lifting your hips up and back. Let's step our feet as wide as our mat and bend our knees deeply so the pushing the ground away and the hook in our tailbone become easier to find. And then walk forward, feet to our hands. Lift your heart, inhale, slide your hands up. Exhale, slide your hands down. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, and then we pause with our palms facing out. we'll continue to build. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees, palms go flat, and we step it into down dog, pushing the ground away, finding the hook in our tailbone. Shift so that your shoulders are over your wrists in a plank position, and then find the hook and let your hips glide back into down dog. We'll do that 2 more times. So we come to a plank with our shoulders over our wrists, pushing the ground away, and then a combination of a hook in our tailbone and some core strength takes our hips back to down dog. And then 1 more time. Shoulders over wrists in a plank position, and we glide it back, hips high, down dog. Walk your feet to your hands. Once we're forward, slide your hands up your legs, inhale, lift your heart, and exhale, hinge back in, folding in. Rise, reach, inhale, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, and then we pause with our palms facing out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Slide your hands up and then bend your knees, palms go flat, step to down dog. Once we're in down dog, once again, we come to plank, but this time in our plank, bring your knees to your mat. Not hands and knees, so not that close. 5 inches further back, but shoulders over wrists. So there's kind of a sweet spot there. We're not collapsed into our shoulders. You're pushing the ground away. And you'll continue to push the ground away as we bend our elbows brush our ribs, and we come all the way down flat onto our bellies, uncurl your toes. Forearms are parallel to the side edges of our mat. We'll traction our elbows towards us and feel our chest through the gateway of our arms, and then we invite our legs by pressing the tops of our feet down and lifting our kneecaps. What I don't want is for us to throw our chin into the mix, so keep your chin parallel to the ground. Lower down, resituate your hands, but this time next to your ribs. Elbows are not winging out to the side, elbows are right next to our ribs. And we'll try to make that same little tractioned back bend, but if it's too difficult and our chin is struggling and our shoulders are shrugging, let's just stay with Sphinx instead. Lower down, curl your toes under. If they're not there already, place your hands next to your ribs, come through all fours. Find the hook in your tailbone, come into down dog, and then walk forward, feet to your hands. Lift your heart, slide your hands up, inhale. Fold in, hinging in, slide your hands down, exhale. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand with our palms facing out. We will glide through sun salutation A, and when we do our plank, and we bend our elbows and come to our belly and do our little back bend, that also is called a vinyasa. I'm not trying to confuse you, but there are a couple of definitions. Breath guiding movement, which we'll do, and that little push up into a back bend, which we'll do. Ready? Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, bend your knees, palms go flat, step it into down dog. From down dog, shift so that your shoulders are over your wrists and carefully bring your knees to your mat. Elbows brush our ribs as we lower to our bellies. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx pose or Cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, bring yourself to all fours. And then find the hook in your tailbone to take your hips up and back into downward facing dog. And we'll walk our feet forward to our hands. Slide our hands up, inhale, lift our hearts. Exhale, hinge at our hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, and then we pause with our palms facing out. Let's do sun salutation A 1 more time. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale as we fold, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up. Bend your knees, palms flat. Step to down dog. The hook in our tailbone brings us back. We inhale into plank and bring our knees down, and then we exhale to our bellies. If you need to breathe more than I'm saying, please do. Uncurl your toes and inhale into your back bend. Lower down, curl your toes under, exhale to all fours. Inhale here, and then exhale, hook in our tailbone as we bring our hips up and back. For down dog, empty out and walk forward. So we're exhaling as we walk forward, and we slide our hands to our shins to inhale and lift our heart. And then we exhale and fold back in. We inhale and rise, thumbs to the sky, a V, arms along our side, palms face out, and a pause. We'll add some friends and start to put together sun salutation B in the classical yoga practice. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale. Bend your knees, palms flat, step to down dog. Once we're in down dog, lift your right leg as you inhale, and then exhale, sweep it forward, probably help it along. Let's get our two blocks off to the side and frame our right foot with it. We'll deconstruct this lunge shape because when we build out our sun salutation B, we'll need this wisdom. Step your right foot to the right so you have more sideways space. And imagine that you have flashlights on your hip bones. They're not trying to turn over to your left. They would like to try to face the front edge of your mat. You're not forcing that, but you're interested in how that might happen. Now let's bend our left knee, our back knee pretty deeply, and come upright with a V shape so that we have the ability to find mountain pose from our waist up, and we're not pitched forward. We're also not dumping into our back. Now you might start to straighten that back leg, but when you find that it's making it a little difficult to find mountain pose, just keep that soft bend. No worries. Hands to our blocks. Move your blocks out of your workspace, so off to the side, palms flat, step to down dog. Once we're in down dog, inhale your left leg behind you, exhale, step it through. You can breathe more than that. I'm just giving you some breath cues. Hands come to our blocks. And now we inch our left foot to the left. Imagine those flashlights on our hip bones facing the front edge of our mat. We will add quite a bit of bend to our back knee, our right knee. And now we come upright, and we're just seeking that mountain pose from the waist up feeling. It's possible we straighten that back leg a little bit, but if it's pitching us forward or making some struggle, there's a soft landing somewhere that feels best for us. Hands to your blocks. Move your blocks out of the way so that you can come to your down dog. Push the ground away a bunch. From here, shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists, knees come to our mat. We keep pushing the ground away. Our elbows brush our ribs as we lower down fully and uncurl our toes. It's a back bend of sorts, either a cobra pose or a sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours, and then our hips lift us up and back into down dog. From our down dog, you could consider taking an inhale here, emptying out and walking forward to the exhale so that when we land at the front edge of our mat, we inhale and glide our hands up. It's just something to work towards. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we pause with our palms facing out. Let's work on chair pose a little bit. So what we don't want in chair pose is to be tucking our tailbone and loading our knees. So instead, there's a little hip hinge. We sit back and down. There's a V shape with our thumbs to the sky. I'm turning sideways so it's a little easier to see what I'm constructing. We'll face the short edge of our mat and take a chair pose, and then just simply stand for a moment. We're still building out that sun salutation B. So our chair pose is our inhale, and then exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. We step to down dog. Then we will lift our right leg back behind us as we inhale, step it forward, help it along. Take your blocks into the mix, walk that right foot to the right. Turn your left foot, your back foot flat. We're trying to find our flashlights facing the front of our mat. That's going to be trickier with the back heel down. Don't force it, just try. Warrior one looks like crescent pose. If it's hurting your back knee, your left knee, feel free to spin onto those back toes instead, like we all did before. And then all of us will spin on our back toes as we make our way, hands to blocks, and step with our palms flat into down dog. Inhale your left leg behind you. Exhale, step it forward, help it along. Breathe more than that if you need to, and find your 2 blocks. Once we're here, give yourself sideways space. Left foot over to the left. And now we just give it a shot, right foot flat. It's trickier. It's a stickier pose. It's more solid, but that means it's a little more difficult in terms of flexibility. We're trying not to let our hips move to face the right side. They're interested in facing that short edge of our mat. We are not forcing anything. Up we come into warrior one, a V shape with our thumbs to the sky. And if you need or want to, you can always spin onto those right toes. All of us will simultaneously spin on our back toes and take our hands to our blocks. Move those blocks off to the side. Find our downward facing dog. Let's shift to plank, shoulders over wrists. This is actually a part of the sun salutation B. Knees down. Bend your elbows, lower to your belly. Uncurl your toes and come into either cobra pose or sphinx pose. Lower down. Curl your toes under, we come through all fours. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us up and back into down dog. Let's just work in this direction. Take in and inhale here. Then exhale and walk forward so that by the time you get there, you inhale, glide. Your hands up, lift your heart, and exhale, fold in. We inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then palms face out. Ready? Here goes. Sun salutation B together. It starts with an inhale and a chair. And then exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. Step to downward facing dog. Shift, shoulders over wrists into your plank position, knees down, all the way down. Uncurl your toes for cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours, and then into down dog. In down dog, lift your right leg behind you, step it forward, help it along, use your blocks or not, either crescent or back foot flat, and we rise up on our inhale for either warrior one or that crescent. If your back foot is flat, spin on your back toes. Take your hands to your blocks or to your mat. Make sure your blocks are out of your way. Step it to down dog. Option to stay in down dog or shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Knees come to your mat very slowly, all the way onto your belly. Uncurl your toes, either sphinx or cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes back under in one piece through all fours and into down dog. Lift your left leg back behind you. Step it forward, help it along, use your blocks or not. Back foot is flat, or you're on the ball of your back foot, and we come up for a slow breath to our warrior one or crescent, and then we all spin on our back toes, land our hands on our mat, maybe using our blocks to get there. Down dog, and then we shift. Shoulders over wrists and bring our knees to our mat. We'll lower all the way down onto our belly. Once we're on our belly, uncurl your toes, sphinx pose or cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come to all fours, and then lift your hips up and back into down dog. From down dog this time, shift forward, shoulders over wrists, bring your knees to your mat, come to your belly. Seems like where we just were, doesn't it? Once you're on your belly, I'm going to move this block out of the way so you're able to see me. Come into sphinx pose for a moment, and I want us to use this as a little bit of a guide. Press into the tops of your feet, and let's make sure that nothing feels as though it's prickly, so there's no sharp pain anywhere. Our chin is parallel to the ground, and then we'll lower down and make a pillow with our hands, bend our knees, and windshield wiper our legs back and forth. A couple of times here. Now let your feet face the sky. So we've got bent knees and our thighs down. Take your palms flat on either side of you. Press into your palms and smile your collarbones away from each other. Now what I'm not doing is trying to do this with my neck. So pretend that there's an orange underneath your chin and you want to keep it there. Push into your hands, lift the heads of your arm bones. And now move your hands as if to hold your feet, but you're not going to. Now I want you to imagine that you're tucking your tailbone down onto the ground. It's not going to go very far because you're against the ground. And this is a lot. You might stay with this. It's possible that you start to think about lifting your thighs off your mat, but you're doing that while thinking that you're tucking your tailbone, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot of humming going on in your back body, right? That's your posterior chain, your back body muscles that we don't tend to work that much. And then let's release and make that little windshield wiper happen and pause a couple of moments. Now, curl your toes under and bring your hands next to your ribs. Remember, we did this in our sun salutation. In one piece, come to all fours. And then from all fours, we will come kneeling, and I think a lot of us are going to want to put that folded blanket underneath our knees. And let's get our 2 tall books, or thick books, or tall blocks. I am now kneeling. I have my toes curled under. My knees are hip distance apart, and I will situate my tall blocks right to the outside of my feet with my toes curled under, right? So can you see that? Now, let's take our arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, a V. What I don't want us to do, and let me turn sideways, it's a little bit like what I didn't want us to do in chair. We're not going to shove our hips forward and struggle. What we are going to do is grow tall. I'll resituate my blocks. I think this angle might be easiest to see me, but I've got my blocks tall, right? I'm going to take my arms to the sky. I'm going to go taller, 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 taller. Then I reach back, sort of like we did on our bellies. And I'm preventing myself from collapsing into my lower back. So I want to keep a little bit of integrity there. And I might reach back and just see if I can tickle my blocks with my fingers. But it's that smiling collarbone that I'm looking for, and I'm pretending like I'm still lying on the ground with my hips. So this doesn't become anything that's congesting in my neck. And then we'll just pause for a second. It's called camel pose. It's a back bend. We'll do it one more time. I just wanted to introduce it because it's a nice heart-opening position to be in. So let's inhale our arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, and really think that we're rooting to rebound up. And then we'll just take our arms back behind us, and it might not go any further than this. This is perfect. It could be that you've got a little bit of an aim to place your fingertips on your blocks. We're not going very far with this, and we're trying to just keep our chin neutral. So this is not you trying to do this back bend with your neck either. And then we'll carefully come up. And once we come up, take one of your blocks, maybe even 2 of them. Come onto the tops of your feet. Take your block long and in between your heels and take a seat onto your block. There are a couple of us who will feel so comfortable sitting in between our heels that maybe we sit on the folded blanket that's a little bit lower or even on the ground. I would not force that. I want this to be something that's comfortable enough that we can drop into a little bit of a meditation moment. First, we'll do a few arm things. So right thumb to the sky, and then pat yourself on the back with your right hand for a job well done with those sun salutations. Take your left arm out to the side, thumb faces down, and either pat yourself on the back with the back of your left hand, the small of your back, or reach those 2 towards one another and pause. Let's get still and quiet. Let go of this arm positioning. We did a lot of sun salutations, so I want to give our arms a little bit of a stretch. Left arm to the sky, thumb to the sky. Pat yourself on the back. Right thumb faces down, back of your right hand to the small of your back. Maybe those two reach towards each other a little bit or quite a bit. And then we get still and quiet and stretch and pause here. Gently let your arms release. We will come off of our block perch by shifting forward onto hands and knees, moving our prop out of the way. Come seated with your legs out in front of you. You could sit on your folded blanket for this. Bend your right knee and step that right foot over your straight left leg, then curl your left toes towards you so it's not a floppy ankle. I like to take one of my blocks behind me for my right hand, left arm up to the sky, give yourself a little hug and a little twist, maybe left elbow outside of your right thigh. Unravel, extend your right leg, bend your left knee, step your left foot over your right thigh, maybe block for your left hand, and then right arm up, and it can be a hug of that thigh or right tricep to the outside of that left thigh. And we quietly twist for a couple of moments on this side. Then we unravel, wiggle our legs out in front of us. And I'm going to suggest that we end with a seated, cross-legged position and a meditation. It gives us a little bit of a hip stretch and a place to rest and digest. However, if you prefer to lie down and do a Shavasana final meditation that way, I've got nothing against that. I think it's great. I love it when you take agency in your own practice. I'm going to sit on a folded blanket in my cross-legged meditation. Maybe that speaks to you as well. And then once we're comfortable in whatever we've decided to do, 2 minutes of silent rest and digest meditation. You're welcome to stay here and meditate or stay lying down as long as you'd like. If you're lying down and you're ready to come up, gently bring your knees into your chest. roll to either side and come up and join us in some sort of a seated final posture. And then maybe hands on your heart or a prayer in front of your heart. A moment to thank our bodies, our minds, our spirits. I'm Andrea. I thank you so much for practicing with me. And I look forward